All right, so now that we have talked about what whole language is and where it stemmed from, now we're going to bring it into what does whole language look like in practice. So the way that I've approached this is there are common myths about whole language. So one myth about whole language in a classroom is that phonics, grammar, and spelling are not taught in whole language classrooms. So the reality of this situation is that a person cannot read without considering graphophonemic cues. It's not possible. So whole language considers this along with other cues such as meanings, pictures, structure, and prior knowledge. Conventions are an important piece to reading and writing, but learning to read and write begins with constructing meaning and not instructing of these skills taught in isolation. So there is a place for conventions, but we don't teach these in isolation as we're trying to write and read and create meaning. That takes precedence. All right, another myth is that whole language is only a literature-based approach and it's used as a way to teach language arts. So the reality of this situation is that while literature is often used as a vehicle for learning, but whole language is also about investigations in other subject areas such as math and science and social studies, and using those thematic units to solve problems in other areas of study outside of only literature. Another myth of whole language is that in a whole language classroom, the teacher doesn't teach and there is no structure. And the reality of this situation is that whole language teachers in a whole language classroom are viewed as active participants in learning rather than only formally directing the learning. They are facilitating the learning in their classroom. They would argue that it is very structured because teachers have planned and considered long-term objectives that they would like their students to meet, and because they have those planned, they are able to make moment-by-moment decisions in a fluid way. So they are structured, there are planned out objectives, but they are very flexible in those moment-by-moment decisions. Is there direct instruction in a whole language classroom? The answer to that is yes. Direct instruction is required, and this is true of any reading program, curriculum, approach. In a whole language classroom, the direct instruction is often referred to as strategy lessons, and these are where teachers will formally teach, say, a reading strategy, and about 20 to 30% of instructional time is allocated for these strategy lessons. So even though there is direct instruction going on here, look how really it's a small percentage of the time that the teacher is doing this. And then it's important to note that all whole language classrooms that are successful will always have some direct instruction. So to say that there is no direct instruction in a whole language classroom would be incorrect, because there is. It's not taking place everywhere, every day, a lot of the time. It's in smaller portions and it's very strategized. So there is direct instruction in a whole language program. And here are a couple references that I used for this slideshow. And now that we have learned about this theory and seen how it's applied in a classroom, I'm going to have you guys do some reading on it.